Commissioners present for our committee meetings on June the 9th. I'd like to call it to order. And I would like to ask Solomon Crenshaw to lead us in a word of prayer, if that would be all right. May we stand?
We travel through uncharted waters. None of us have been in this experience before, but Heavenly Father, we know that you are the keeper of all knowledge and all wisdom. We ask you, Lord, to guide our hearts and to touch our minds, that we might be able to do the things that are pleasing in your sight, that are in the best interest of these your people. We ask you, Lord, please touch this mission, the department heads, whoever.
This meeting is being recorded.
That they will be able to deliberate and again make those things that will be in the best interest of these your people of Jefferson County. These are the blessed, God, the Son, Jesus' name, Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Solomon. Commissioner Tyson, would you like to go ahead and go? We will begin with 2, 3, 4, 5, and when Commissioner Scales gets here, we will take her group.
Community Development and Human Resource Services, Dr. Hamilton, Department of Community Services and Workforce Development.
Good morning, everyone. We are going to move items 5, 6, and 19 to the next agenda, committee agenda. And so instead of reading all of these items, if there's any specific questions about the items, I'll make an attempt to address them.
Doc, I'll move them.
Can I get a second?
Pulling those 3 items. With those items being pulled,
With-
5, 6, and 19.
5, 6, and 19 has been pulled. I have first and second on the remaining items.
I have one question on 12 and 13. What is this revolving loan fund plan? What do these documents do?
Okay, so on item number 12, that's our loan fund plan. That's that EDA grant that we were talking about, I think in the last meeting. Basically, we're going to be allowed to do some waivers to the program, so we have to modify the EDA revolving loan plan to, one, we will not have to require 2/3 participation in the program, and the interest rate is going to go down as well. On number 13, that's, as you all remember, the city of Birmingham is coming out of the program, so we're going to be establishing a new loan committee.
The one we talked about. Any other questions?
On number 15, that's that,
Just a second, let's see.
that's that water line project extension.
Yes, sir. That's going to be awarded to Chris Woods. He was the lowest and most responsible bidder. And that's in the Birmingham Water Works Board's jurisdiction. And so that allows us to move forward and award that contract and get started hopefully in the next week or so.
And there's no cost to the county. CDBG funds. Any other questions? Then first and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 I move your District 2 other business.
All business have been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And I have, a community, so you're gonna move everything, right?
It is, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a resolution to authorize, a 15% salary increase.
We just passed that.
We passed that, okay. And did you pass the grant, $500 that was added?
Had the grant, that's something new. We need to see what that is.
Everybody have a paper.
for an item number 10 to be added, which would be the, we have a motion.
What does it say? What is it? Say that again, yeah.
Payment for track 31, Patton Chapel Road, phase 3, and it's $3,000 for .056 acres. I'm sorry, .053. And it's due to a sewer line conflict with the retention pond. We gotta get a little more room.
You said 3,000.
Well,
It's, agenda item 5633.
have a motion and a second, doing good.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have 2 sets of minutes from our commission meeting of May the 21st and the, emergency meeting of June 2nd. Any questions?
Sure.
Move to the agenda second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you very much. I have 3 items.
Move to 3 minutes.
Second.
3 grants have been moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Just as a report, the commission is going to let the curfew expire at the recommendation of Sheriff Petway and Jim Coker, the EMA, unless it was put in place to coincide with the municipalities. The municipalities are allowing it to expire, and we would follow suit. Mr. Lawson, I want to thank you so very much for your participation, what you did in moving this forward, and in coordination with municipalities and all the organizations involved. I appreciate your help. With that being said, yes, ma'am. Tonight, midnight. All right, Commissioner Scales is now in the bill. Commissioner Knight, we'll go ahead.
Finance. Dixon is here. And ready to roll, she said.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have our normal and usual demand report. We have our purchasing agenda, purchasing exceptions and encumbrance report for 3 weeks. We have our region's closing statement, May 31st, for ratification. Item number 6 is an amendment to C&J Associates, and item number 7 is a public service grant to Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame. And there is a change to the payee from Carver as well.
I'll move the.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We do need to make a change. It's to, the public service grant is the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame, which is correct, and in the budget, we listed it as the Carver Theater. And basically what it is some, infrastructure development in the Carver Theater, but in order to make it all cohesive, we needed to make that minor change to the budget to make it to Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame as opposed to the Carver Theater. And I have a resolution if we need to do it that way. Attorney, do we need to do a resolution to change that name back in the budget to, we're just trying to get everybody on the same page, and everybody is on the same page, but that's just a little glitch in there in the nomenclature. I have a resolution, we can do that, and
Let's do that.
I would ask to move this resolution by unanimous consent.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And this would just state resolution authorizing name change in the approved 2019-20 budget under public service grant from the Carver Theater to the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame in the amount of $50,000. So that's the motion. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, appreciate that.
And we also have our multi-staff development under budget management office and our individual staff development. Do you have any questions related to those items?
Have a motion? All in favor, please say aye. All right, we have the board of registrars, we have a resolution for voting precinct fees. Barry had talked about this a while back. I want to address it real quick there.
Yeah, we, my office, first, thank y'all for wanting this to push forward. We called all our precincts, 175. It'll be a little bit reduced for the runoff because of the library situation in Birmingham, but we called every one of them. And some of them were on the border of kicking us out. We told them what we plan to do, not only the increased fee and the cleanup fee of the minimal, but also the disinfectant to make it even better than we found it. So it's been a very positive, extremely positive response from our precincts to keep them in the fold and on pace for July 14th, because we're working on July 14th, we're also working on November 3rd at the same time, and all that comes with that. And the cities, well, I was on a Zoom meeting last week with all our city clerks. Everyone's eligible, every city except Birmingham Investment is eligible to have an election in August. That doesn't mean they will. Their qualifying opens, I believe, July 6th, well, that Monday, and closes the 20th. So we'll know then. So we could have over 30 municipal elections in the county. So we're working with the cities. They want to know, we're sharing as much information as we can with them, what we're doing with the PPE we're going to be sending out, the disinfecting and everything. So we're sharing as much information to help them also be prepared.
Is there a source of funding other than the CARES Act by which we're going to use this? Isn't there something from the state or the feds for elections?
Now, I believe it's been talked about. Most of the reimbursement we're talking about is coming from the CARES Act. And the Justin and Alexander from probate, I believe, have finished that.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they did a great job. I mean, we all of us in elections, whether it was Keith and them in general services or moms, we all participated in that. They did a great job of pulling it all together, and that, y'all will vote on that today, so.
So that's what this.
And it looks like the amount, they put it together, the cost, it looks like it's gonna be $450,000 for the primary runoff in July. That we're requesting from the state,
And is that's over and above what we would normally have to do?
Yes.
For these extra measures?
The largest percentage of that is the disinfecting of every precinct and the square footage involved with that.
Does that include that, that item that I'm gonna probably bring up here in a little bit as new business with the absentee ballot people and the need for additional funding for a contract to extend that? That's not what you're talking about.
I haven't,
That's not included in this, okay.
I don't think
All
it
right,
is,
I'll
because
bring it up.
the absentee doesn't come through us, but, I did, I may have told y'all, I'll tell you again, when we talked about this expanded absentee, we're not gonna do that. I did get to talk to Jackie Smith and Karen Dunbergs. They're not seeing, a big increase or demand for the 14th, July 14th, so we're gonna be okay for that.
Hang on, let's talk about it. 'Cause I got something the last minute that the absentee, managers or, and Angela helped me, that probate is asking for more, extending the contract for absentee ballots because John Merrill said to keep the absentee ballot offices open from March 31st to July the 14th.
Yes.
And so, and now they're claiming that there's an uptick in the use of those absentee, ballot, they need to add more staff. It's been generally okay with one or two, however many people they're staffing with. But they're saying with the uptick, they're getting an increase in numbers. And so, Angela, can you help me out on
Yeah, Mr.
particular?
Tellis has that information, but, he wants to wait until the, personnel board takes the action up to make sure before we present it to the commission. But that's correct.
There's a contract.
Well, if y'all would communicate that to me, I would appreciate it, because I got this, and we've been scrambling and that, and I think, and personnel board meets on it tomorrow at 1. So if they pass it, then we'll bring this up Thursday.
This is on these things,
I guess that's all it need to be too,
So we don't need to bring this up today.
Well, I'd like to have information on it. I didn't have any information.
Yeah,
Somebody-
this is last.
There's somebody on the phone.
Yes, who's there?
This is Alexandria in probate.
All right.
I'm the one that
Because I spoke with Jacqueline Smith and Karen Dunn-Burke recently, and they are seeing an increase in the absentee applications that are coming in. Right now, they're working with minimum staff, so they're requesting an increase in staff, and generally, we would have had enough funds to cover the primary election and the primary runoff election, but because the Secretary of State directed them to stay open while everything else was shut down, that depleted the funds that we were going to use for the primary runoff. And also, since the contract doesn't end until November the 3rd, we also need additional funds to cover the temporary staffing all the way up through the general election.
Do we have an idea of an amount that you're going to be
Well, the
requesting?
increase is for another $220,000, and we already have the funds in the budget. We just need to add it to the contract.
How many people stay and how many people go away?
You mean during, like after the runoff election?
Right.
I think generally with Bessemer absentee, they usually keep about 2 full-time staff, and with Birmingham, generally they keep about 3.
but they kept everyone because the runoff was postponed. They kept everyone going because this would have wrapped up on March 31st. Absentee would have stopped on March 26th. So, but because of the postponement, the staffing has stayed there, and that has continued. I get for the amount allocated for that has been eaten away at because of the postponement and the requirement to stay open. So normally those people we wouldn't have right now, but
Would be utilized.
we wouldn't be utilizing. We'd be looking at November, bringing them back in, Labor Day-ish, somewhere like that. So that's the reason for the.
Can
Right,
we
and
utilize?
now we're still getting invoices in because they still have staff members, but they are requesting an increase in staff. And I think we only have, I got a new set of invoices yesterday, so I think that's going to take us down to about $4,000. So we need the increase.
Should be able to, because that's the reason it's
Look,
open.
Tim,
Commissioners, and I've spoken with the personnel director, and it's all right to move this to the agenda. I think we sent out a letter that was communicated to all the commissioners regarding use of COVID funds, and this is a situation that involves COVID, and we've gotten confirmation it's all right to deal with those kinds of contracts, so it's all right for the commission to move this to the agenda.
I move
Should you
it.
choose.
all right, that's movement for unanimous consent?
Yes.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And now I need a motion to move this probate contract forward.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the personnel board will meet tomorrow at 1, and depending on what they do, because I think they got it on their emergency calendar, and then we'll have their answer tomorrow, and then Thursday we can vote on it down.
So we should get something tomorrow by email.
Yeah, yes.
Just
Let us
today.
know.
Okay. All right.
I would like to bring something,
Up to,
They meet today.
I would like to bring something to your attention. I've been getting calls, and I did call Mr. Barry Stevenson about this. The purging of the voting roster. We have had a couple of thousand people purged in Jefferson County now. And then when I checked all over the states, it's been thousands of people purged from the voting roster. This lady called me out of Bessemer. She committed a crime when she was 19 because she had to feed her children. She's 82. They purged her from the list. She's been voting since she was 22. They purged her from the list, and she can't vote in July or November. So I don't understand how she could vote really all my lifetime and now being purged. And it's several people that have called me with this. And I know Mr. Stevenson told me that it was coming from the Secretary of State office.
Alabama Administrative Office of Courts.
But we still need an explanation, because it's no way they should have been able to vote 40, 50 years and you just now purging them. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't understand it. I don't think it's fair that they were allowed to vote all these years, and now all of a sudden it's a big purge within the last 2 years off of the voting roster. I got a big problem with that. A big problem. And I think President, I think he needs to let us know why. Okay, he said they committed a felon. Why now? Why is it they being purged now? Why they weren't purged 4 years ago? Why within the last 2 years they being purged?
Commissioner, I can't speak for the Secretary of State.
I would like to see if we can get him to talk to us,
Sure.
because I've called down there and I hadn't got a return call yet.
Normally, when someone is convicted of a felony, they are pretty quickly removed from the voting, because that's one of your rights that you lose. But I understand that there is a simple process now to have your voting rights restored. And if this individual had been purged because of that felony so many years ago, it's a form that you fill out to have those voting rights restored. And if that's one of your constituents, I will work with you and try to get you that form so you can have her rights restored for her. That, if we deal with this as a commission on an individual basis, I think that we can work, and I will try to establish a contact with Secretary of State to see what the criteria is. I don't think that this is just a movement to harm or hurt anyone. This is just the normal course of business that they have. But I will work with it and get with you to see what we have.
Mr. President, well, let me say this. I'm not putting words in the mouth of the commissioner as enticing. I think it needs to be a policy change. That's not something you do individually. If thousands of people are being purged from this list, that doesn't affect one person. That affects thousands of potential voters to exercise their right to vote. I mean, so to say that we're going to do this individually, I would object to that. I understand that we have a Republican governor, and you being president of the commission, and you too are Republican, but I'm just being very candid with it. If we're going to do it, it needs to be a pathway where the process is fair, period. So if that's happening, that's not an individual ask. If we're going to do it as a commission, we need to have a policy on behalf of the commission that establishes that anyone that is unlawfully purged from this list, that not only are they notified, but that they are placed back into the system, period, so that they can exercise their right to vote.
And she 80-something, and her children don't know that she did that when she was young, and she embarrassed, and she don't want no one to know about it. And I can understand that, something she did that long ago, and she don't want her kids to know, because her children are professionals within the Jefferson County system. And I think that it do need to be a policy change. And I wanted a list of everybody that was purged. I would like to know if I can get a list from our registrar's office of where I can try to contact them and get them all their voters' rights back.
Do you have that, Barry? A list of people that were
We can create that. The counties, not just Jefferson, the counties are downstream. This is,
Right.
it's like section 17-4-3. that the administrative office of court sends us a list. And we don't have control over that list. It comes from the court system. They say these people are at the criteria of being removed because of a specified offense. Now, we in Jefferson County have always worked with the county attorney's office before we removed anyone. So Theo, if you want to speak to that.
So this is a process that started some time ago. Jefferson County is a unique county in that most of your, excuse me, most of your circuit clerks don't have the benefit of legal counsel, but the AOC sends list of folks that have convictions. And at one point, it was just somebody that was convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, and you had to look at those elements. There's been some litigation since that time, and there's a specific list of crimes that if you are convicted of those crimes, that the court has determined are crimes involving moral turpitude. And if you have a conviction from one of those crimes, then you are not eligible to vote. So there have been occasions where information was sent to us and we verified to determine that maybe where a person had an initial charge that was a felony, and we check and verify, and it could have been that that person actually pled to a misdemeanor and that person was actually eligible. So we double checked the information that's sent to Jefferson County. But there is a list of criminal offenses that if you are convicted of those offenses, you are not eligible to vote. As Commissioner Stevens said, if that individual seeks to have their voting rights restored, and that's an individual process, each individual, based on their conviction, would apply for to get those rights restored. Again, that's restored by the state. The county doesn't have anything to do with that. But what Jefferson County does is that, to my knowledge, is different than anybody else, is that we verify the information that is sent to our clerks to make sure that those folks actually do have felony convictions. And we have found in some cases that the information on its face may not necessarily have been the case if just a lay person had reviewed it. But there are specific crimes that if one is convicted of those, you're ineligible to vote and you lose your right to vote.
But even when the letter that is sent, it's no paperwork sent with the letter that they can fill out and send back in to get their voters' right back. It's a number put on there. But the process of getting that paperwork, you have to go online. I called the number, said I had to go online and do this. I couldn't even maneuver through it. I would have to actually get an attorney to actually do this. So who actually have access to an attorney to try to get their voters' rights back?
You know, I don't have an answer for you on that. I know that the form, you just download the form, fill it out, and then I think you have a hearing. Am I correct on that, Barry or Theo? That I believe it comes before the presiding judge in the circuit, and they look at it.
You can appeal to the judge of probate. We put that in the letter.
Right.
But to tag on what the commissioner is saying here, it is a state design system, and it's a state driven. The counties are downstream from that. I wish it was not as cumbersome, but it's designed by the state, run by the state, and we can't tell them what to do.
Well, and that's goes back to what I was saying, that if we can deal with these individually and offer whatever assistance we have, I'm sure that the county attorney's office will help with the forms that's needed and necessary to get this done.
The issue is that these kind of become individual issues. We can't do it. We do what we can to make sure that they're valid. If somebody, for example, in this latest situation, you can appeal to the probate court if you feel like you have an issue there. So it's a two-track process. One way is you can appeal the denial of your right to vote to the probate judge. And that's one way. The other way is that if an individual has a conviction, and if in this latest case it's been so long, or you can then request to have your voting rights restored, and that kind of amounts to a pardon. I'm not a real expert on that, but it's done on a regular basis. But so there's two tracks. One of them is if you feel like you were denied wrongfully, that your crime doesn't fit in that category, that's an appeal to the probate judge. On the other hand, if you're seeking to get your voting rights restored, then that's something that person has to do individually. I don't know necessarily that you have to have an attorney. I would probably advise it, but so those are two processes that can be done if you deny the right to vote.
You have to have an attorney because the paperwork is just that difficult. And how can you expect for an 80-year-old woman to be able to maneuver through a computer to do that?
Well, we just approved two $25,000 contracts, for global business advisors, and H.R. Denver for legal services, and that specify what for, so certainly we can refer them to somebody like that if we're.
I don't know that legal services does it, I'm not sure. But legal
What's
services
it?
provides some services to the individual. I'm not sure about that, but
Well, we just approved it, so we're not sure what we're approving.
that's two different.
You're talking
two
about
different
legal
entities.
services
I'm talking
out
about
there.
legal services out there. I'm not talking about anything.
They don't do that.
I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about legal services.
Well, what do we just
I'll-
approve these contracts for?
I would suggest that we,
That's community development.
That's community development, that's real estate.
On the loan programs, the work that they do.
Oh, yeah, that's for our homes,
Home,
And loan
real estate and
programs.
stuff like that.
but that's not legal service now.
No, it's not.
I still say we need to talk to the Secretary of State.
I'll have a conversation for you.
I would like to talk to him.
Thank you.
All right, man. All right. Sergeant Clerk, absentee election manager compensation, Bergen County Investment Division, $10,600 each. Do I have a motion?
Hold up. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, general services, municipal elections, services agreement, Centerport, Silver Spring, and Fultondale. Then we have an amendment for Steve Ward and Associates Roofing Program.
Move.
Have a motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Personnel Board, items 1 and 2.
Move.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, here we go, probate court again, resolution, COVID-related election funding, resolution authorizing the commission president to sign application for COVID-related election funding from the Alabama Secretary of State.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, have one budget amendment that I want to discuss. This is from District 2. This is a resolution from the Public Service Fund, removing the distribution from Shalom Memorial Gardens Maintenance and Perpetual Care Association, Inc., in the amount of $12,500, and adding that back to Ursula Smith Bench in the amount of $12,500.
Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Because the Shetland Memorial didn't meet the standards to receive the money.
They didn't.
Nope.
They didn't have they didn't have the paperwork. in order
They,
to
yeah,
proceed.
they didn't have enough money coming in to where they could get it. So now we're applying to the state.
Okay. And this is moving to Ursula Smith Dance.
There was
I'll move
another- Another association that could have helped. I know that's one of your passions,
Mhm.
the cemeteries. Is
Yeah.
there another association that
The
could
state
help?
cemetery group, we applied for theirs. And they supposed to give them $50,000.
Yeah, Gwendolyn had that bill that came forward that they were giving monies for that.
From off of the
That's
pistol
great.
license.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
So they applied for $50,000 from them.
Okay. I moved
Did that
that.
ever pass?
Second.
I think it did, yeah.
It
it
did.
passed.
They passed.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's all I'm gonna talk about right now.
Okay. Commissioner, you want to go ahead and do?
Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Scales?
We have two, one item under environmental services for public works, community services, and intergovernmental relations. This is about hotel accommodations related to displaced residents due to sewer backups. And is that a David Dinner or is that you, Carol? If there are any questions in regards to the item.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
We have one District 1 business, and that's Fairfield Board of Education. Do we have any questions regarding this item?
Move the item.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, information technology, access management, information off-site tape storage. Is Shrieker today?
He's not.
Good
morning,
Commissioner, I'm here.
Oh, he's on the phone.
Online.
Does anybody have any questions?
I move.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I have a community grant for One Place Metro Alabama Family Justice. This is basically a single stop for anybody that's been raped or domestic violence. It's one place that they can go. The police are there. They can get checked. They can do the rape kits there. They can help the children there. It's a great program located over on the south side.
How much are we gonna fund?
$500.
No, move your item.
Second.
work this thing by now.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we just fined you 500.
And there's my report, sir.
All right, Mr. Tellis, do you have anything for us?
sir.
Mr. Lawson's removing his mask.
No, sir.
No, probably.
All right, Mr. Martin? We're good? Well, I believe we have a 12 o'clock. Are we gonna meet back in here? Where we're gonna meet for that?
It's 10:30, it's just information, please. So it's 10:30.
And you say 10:30, it's changed from 12
When
to
it
10:30?
changed.
Yeah.
We voted.
You're right, you're
We
right.
voted.
Uh-oh.
We voted for
You're right.
12.
Quit calling me for it. We
All right.
voted to do it at 10:30, but I think the schedule was either 12 to 1 or 3 to 4, and I think it
12,
put
yeah,
it 12.
right.
12. So we got to.
So at 12, we're back in here?
On Zoom.
And
We've extended the numbers to you so you can do them.
on Zoom, so we can do it, it's gonna be Zoom.
It's Zoom, it's just information.
Okay, good.
Informational only Zoom, so we
We
can
will,
do
we
that.
will be able to ask questions.
Yeah, it's just information.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Thank you, everyone. This has worked out good. Meeting's adjourned.
Goodbye.